Hello. Hi, this is Mandy from Psychd. And Psychd is a platform for companies to understand their companies and employees' mental health better. It's a psychometric platform wherein you sort of engage employees by taking their tests and understanding your company's health metrics better. Today, for this session, we have Mr. Ajay Gomes with us, and he will be uh, talking to you about motivating and engaging your workforce in your company. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Mandy. It's good to be around here.
Sure.
My name is Ajay Gomes, and I've been in this field for the last about 15 years. Prior to this, I was in hospitality industry. I worked about 18 years, and one fine day I realized that I wanted to do something, to have work-life balance, but didn't know what to do. So started doing network marketing, door-to-door sales, all kind of stuff, and it wasn't getting me somewhere. And then one fine day, I went for a special training program. A friend of mine recommended, and after that, things are really different. And so, before we go any further, I would like to take a few things note. So keep your phone away for a while, and also keep a notepad ready.
Yeah.
So you can take some notes
Sure.
as and when we go.
So you want me to put the slides on?
So it's good that you put the slides on, people can see
So
it.
I'm gonna share the slides with you now, and yeah. So I hope everybody can see the slides now, and we'll start with So like Mr. Ajay was saying, put your phone away, get a notepad, and inform any stakeholders so that you don't disturb anyone. And our intention is to get real value from the session. We really want you to learn something from the session. And do ask questions in the comments, maybe this video, and we'll have more links in the description of the video once we're done. And as promised, this will be one of the best time you spent. I pass it over to Mr. Ajay for the presentation.
All right. So the three parts of this program. The first is a little bit about ourselves. Introductions already done. And the second thing is how to address the issue. We'll give you as many tips as possible, so you can take note and later on implement. And the third is the question and answer. Here it will be.
Sure. So I'll be asking Mr. Ajay a few questions during the session. You're free to post comments if you have any questions. We'll be going through them as well.
And do let us know if you have anything else. So I'm basically, right now I work as a coach, a life skills and business coach, and an aspiring serial entrepreneur. And yes, a very big thank you for being here and joining us to participate in making this event a great success. Although 60 minutes is too short to do justice to the topic, nevertheless, we'll try to contribute as much as we can. So welcome once again. Engagement and motivation, the two words that's doing the rounds practically all across the globe. So quickly shoot three things you know about the topic. So Mandy.
Well, it's hard to firstly motivate and engage your team, that everybody knows. And whenever you do, it sort of lasts for maybe some time. And eventually you would see that decrease in motivation and decrease in employee engagement.
Okay.
And that is what we're hoping you can help us with.
Sure. Three barriers to work on engagement and motivation programs, or what doesn't work. So people, you can write down as you're watching this, which will help you. And three solutions you are practicing as of now. So this way it will help you to get the full value for this program. And how many of you agree that it all sounds very sweet and looks good on paper, but when it comes to the reality on the ground, the truth is not much significant happens. What do you say?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, as you see on the screen, not engaged. Do the job, go home, repeat. So I call it the copy-paste life most people have in the corporate. You know, the same thing, wake up in the morning, rush through the bathroom and then rush through the traffic, go to office, do stuff, and then come back on the couch with the remote, and then again back to same. Now,
Right.
do you really want that kind of a life? Do you really enjoy that kind of a life?
No, of course not. I mean, it's monotonous. After a while, you feel like you need to change, and there's more to life. Of course, there's more to life.
Yeah, but the irony is that's what's happening all across the globe.
Right. You go to 9 to 5 work, and
It's a
right.
copy-paste life. I call it copy-paste life. The same thing you repeat again and again.
Right.
And you wonder what's happening.
Right.
And what if, like you see on the blank, if we have every day, if we can have a blank life like this?
Yeah.
Well, that's because it's an eternal thing. You know, remember the truth. I can tell you on your face, you know, you cannot engage or motivate someone unless he or she has the willingness for it.
Agreed.
A lot of managers I know out there, you try every day and you sometimes you have to really pull your hair down. The reality is you just cannot motivate and engage into unless they want it.
Right.
You know, I have discovered a particular bell curve phenomenon in an organization. Now, what is that bell curve phenomenon? You have 3% creme de la creme, you know, the super performers.
Okay.
Who give you 80% of the results. Now, who are these 3%? You would have in any organization. There they call it they're not human beings, they're the superhumans.
They're like Supermans.
Yeah, night, day, thunderstorm, doesn't matter.
We all know those people, maybe like every.
And then you have the next 7%. They call the great performers. 60 to 80% results they give you. Dedicated, all for the company. And the next you have the 20%. They need constant farming. You know, you know how farming is. Like you got to take something out there, tweak a little bit over there, put some manure over there, and that's how. And this 20% they give you 30 to 80% results. And that is where the work gets done. Now the next, there's a 40%, there's a raw material. You know, they can go either way, if not well cultivated. So this 40%, so they give you 10% to 80% of results.
Right.
So that depends how they are dealt with.
Right.
And then you have the next 30%. No matter what, you try, you give your best, you bang your head against the wall, they are not going to perform.
Okay.
So either live with them, or I call it relocate them, but in the corporate lingo, they call it fire them. As simple as that. So they are the hagglers, the hecklers, the lazy bums. You know, so if you didn't know, you know it, that there is going to be 30% in your organization, you're going to bang your head, but they're not going to move.
Right.
Now the question is, which percentage or how will you handle them? Where will you focus be? And what is your strategy be on? Which percentage of the people normally you think people focus?
I would say people focus on the top 3 and 7% because they see these people performing, and you know, they sort of, they also focus on like the bottom 30 or 40%. They sort of try to get them motivated and get them working.
Okay. Since I have experience now in the corporate dealing with this kind of situations over 15 years, prior to that I worked 18 years in hospital industry, but comparing for last 15 years, most managers, supervisors, they bang their head mostly on the 30%.
Okay.
Now that is where the problem is.
So the laggards, they spend a lot of their time wasting on the laggards.
Yeah, they're trying to push them, pull them, and try to motivate. And what happens, you'll see later how the productivity goes down, performance goes down in organization. We'll come back to that later.
Sure.
So the strategy is the Pareto principle. The Pareto principle is the 80-20 rule, which means your effort of 80% that goes into the 40% has to be transferred. Your 80% effort has to be on the top 20% or the 30%.
Right.
Because if you nurture them,
right,
you see the 80% of the result comes from
the top 20%.
20% of work.
Right.
Which means your 80% result coming from the top. So which means your 80% of effort has to be with those 20% of the people, the 40%.
Right. So it goes both ways. That firstly, your 80% of the work is being done by 20% of the people.
Right.
So as a manager or as a business owner, you need to invest 80% of your time looking, motivating, and caring for those 20% of the people who in turn are going to deliver 80% of your productivity.
Absolutely.
Right.
Which is not done. In most corporates, they're doing the other way around. And they think, they really work hard, and I feel pity for these people. They really work hard. The question is, and many of people who are now online, they are also thinking, oh my God, we have been working hard. Now we know why the result is not coming.
Right.
And so to get into this, how to motivate, there are different stages of motivation that an organization, and in an organization, an employee goes through. So the first stage is people are motivated but unproductive. Now, what is kind of people? Is the people who have joined the organization. You remember, like whenever you pass through the interview and you got the call letter, how you feel.
Right.
Can you recall your first day? You come, with all your enthusiasm, you're ready to move, but because you're not aware of the work, or you're raw, or just from college or something, or you join a new organization, you're not able to perform well. The second category, motivated and productive.
Yeah.
So when an employee has already spent some time and he has learned the system,
and he's motivated.
So that's where your 20% and the 7%, 3% are located.
Oh, okay.
Then the third stage, demotivated and productive.
Right.
This is the most dangerous part. Because people, because they're in the system, they know their job, but it is like that copy-paste kind of thing, repeating the same thing.
So they are productive, they are performing, but you don't see any original motivated work coming from them. That is the problem.
Yes.
You don't see that them going the extra mile or doing something other than copy pasting.
Absolutely. Right. And then the last stage, you have demotivated and unproductive. Things like out of control. These people, they're going to leave, and they're very seniors, and especially in big corporations, they have unions, they support. So you don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, let's not worry about that.
Yeah. So please do keep posting your comments, queries, questions, suggestions. So, and if anyone wants to cut the crap, come to the point.
We'll come to that.
So I like a straight conversation. This is one thing that I've seen in many corporations. They don't honor this. There is no open window for people to really express their feelings.
Right.
That's why I'm practicing what I'm preaching. I said, if somebody feels that, you can straight away say, listen, cut the crap. But before I move, I'll give you some statistics. This is not mine. This is international statistics people have done all across the globe. Gallup has done research, and many other companies. What it says, only 30% of employees worldwide feel inspired and engaged by their careers. Only 30%. Close to half, there's 48% of employees across the globe detest their jobs.
Right.
80% of employees globally are actively disengaged, meaning though they are present at work, they hate it completely. Highly engaged employees were 87% less likely to leave their companies than their disengaged counterparts. This is where I was talking about the 3% and 7% and that 30%.
Ah, okay.
You see? So if you focus on them, your productivity and performance of the organization remains high.
Right.
3 out of every 4 people who leave their jobs on their own will aren't quitting their jobs, but their bosses or managers.
Okay.
So
So
now,
most of the people who quit their jobs, it's not because of the
organization.
job. They leave because of the
right,
boss.
so
or the
if you
manager.
are watching this and you are a manager or a
And this
supervisor,
is a proved statistics, right?
it's such a proven statistics all
Right.
across the globe, all across 5 continents.
Okay, interesting.
Less than half of the workforce, that is 40%, were aware of their company's goals, tactics, and strategies.
So people don't feel engaged with the vision of the company or the strategy of the
People don't know where
That's
they're
the
going.
problem, right?
They just come and go, they do their
Right.
stuff. Organizations with great engaged employees accomplish double the annual net income of those whose employees are not so well engaged, as per analysis of 64 organizations. It's worldwide organizations.
Okay.
So like I told you, those 3% and 7%.
Right. Let's talk about those costs.
Yeah.
Yeah, the costs of unhappy employees.
Yeah, but it's some kind of a joke, I find it like.
It is.
Which means organizations are losing money every day.
Right.
We talk about 50% of the people are not engaged. What kind of productivity are they?
Yeah, I mean, they would spend like tons of money hiring more people, recruiting more people. But the crux of it, the irony of it is all that the people that you have, the resources.
And not
that you
only that, they're
have.
spending money on advertisements, on marketing, where they just flush it down the drain, the money.
Right, but the workforce that's the core of the company is not engaged. It's not, like we saw in the chart, it's only the 20% that is actually performing. Right.
And the irony of it, a lot of people know about it.
Yeah.
But they're not doing
the challenge is how to, and that is what the session is.
That is what the session is all about.
So keep listening.
As I said again, motivation is an inside job. You can't motivate. So when you look at it, how to keep your workforce engaged and motivated, the answer is already there. Look at it carefully. What do you see? You can't find it, right? Well, look at the 2 words, engaged and motivated. What does engaged mean?
To be involved, right? To be involved in the process as a creative or...
Okay.
Yeah.
And what does motivation mean?
Motivation for me would mean an aspiration to do something better, to be better than what I do right now.
Okay, so people who are there online, do send in your replies. What do you mean by engaged and motivated?
Think about it, maybe write it down on a piece of paper.
Yes. Now, if you have written, you already know the answer.
Yes.
So the program is over. Let's have some food.
Right.
As I said, so you know what engaged means, what motivated means. So then,
yeah, it's not really hard to define them. It's very hard to sort of get them about it. Yeah.
So moreover, now if you Google the term "how to keep workforce engaged and motivated," it will throw up about, what is that? It's 53 million.
Yeah, some 53 billion, 600,000
million, yeah. In 68 seconds. And then I did that in next week, it was 82
million.
And then yesterday I did, which is now gone to brilliant. Now, which means this topic is so widely talked about, and the thing is,
so you can actually see like there are more and more people searching for this every day with more culture, and that is what we wanted to address in this session.
Yeah, because if you go to Google for the answer, you will not find it.
Because there are a billion results.
There are a billion results, and as I can see there are people, who are joining in. So it is already, when did we start? We started about already 21 minutes gone. And it was already put up, we started at 4 o'clock. We started at 4 o'clock and only 60 minutes. So what kept people away? What do you think?
A lot of different things will.
Well, I have the answer. It's called because.
Right. Because whatever reason, you don't care.
So that is what the enemy of, I could say, the productivity is. There's always a because. There's always a because.
So we keep finding excuses for not.
No, it's not excuse, because there are
valid reasons.
Valid reasons. So it's always a because. You see, through if people are really interested to know, I'm sure with Psychd can help that.
Right. It's we measure a lot of things in the company that you sort of that gives you pointers as to how engaged and motivated your employees are, and we do that over a period of time. So you get to know if the actions that you're taking are actually helping your employees and so on.
Yeah, because people are honest with the machine.
So it's an anonymous, they feel
right?
better. It's like they don't have a face that they have to answer to, and it's an anonymous test. So they don't feel threatened, as in, by any.
Yeah, and they can be candid and straight.
That is like you were saying, that cut through the crap, give me the answers.
Right, and now what I want to say is, as you go along, we'll discover that this whole business of engaging and motivating thing has nothing to do with engagement and motivation at all in reality.
Yeah.
Really, it has nothing to do with engagement and reality. I mean, motivation.
Really?
You'll be surprised. I thought so. So what is it then? So you can post your comments.
Right.
We'll get back to you. It's a leadership issue.
So you're saying engaging and motivating your employees has nothing. I mean, engagement and motivation are very simple to define and understand. Everybody understands.
Everybody knows that.
All the people who are watching this understand it. The problem is the leadership issue is the real issue here that sort of drives people away from motivation and engagement.
Remember, people leave not organizations but leaders.
Right.
And if you are a leader, and if you have attended powerful sessions conducted by powerful leaders, you will know.
Sure.
Engagement and motivation are results of effective leadership.
Yeah.
You want to hear a story?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, that's the stonecutter story. You see, once upon a time, a gentleman was passing by on a road.
Yeah.
And can put the
sure.
Yeah. So people
please continue. Yeah.
So the a gentleman passing by on the road saw people doing some stuff. They're working, doing something.
Right.
And so he goes and asks one gentleman, "Sir, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
This guy gets really wild, and he's like, browsing his thing, taking his sweat and looking at angrily. So, "Can't you see I am laying bricks?"
Right. He's like,
"Please go away."
Right.
So this gentleman, he moves away, and so he goes to the next person and he asks, "So what are you doing?"
Yeah.
He looks at his watch. So, I am earning my bread. In Hindi called Roji Roti Kamara. Okay, yeah. So he moves third person. And he asks, "Sir, what are you doing?" He says, looks at the gentleman, smiles at him, says, "Please sit down, and it's very hot. Would you like something to drink, some cold water?" And he says, "No, it's all right." Then he asks, "What are you doing?" He says, "Sir, I am building a huge place of worship here."
Oh, okay.
So my question is, which of these three is the correct answer?
Third one.
Third one?
Right.
I'm sure many people would say that. And that's what I get the answer.
Yeah, you want me to go back to
that? Now the question is, the answer is actually all the three are.
Really?
Yeah.
How's that?
How's that? So the first person, he is that of that 40%. Below.
Probably, yeah.
He doesn't know what he's doing. He has to resign to his destiny. I'm meant to break these bricks, lay these bricks all my life. And what he will do, he'll go back home always dissatisfied with his work. He may beat up his wife, beat up his children, or go to shop, get his quota of bottle,
Right.
drink and go off to bed,
Right.
and come back again next day. And that's how he's going to live his life.
Yeah.
Which means his engagement, his participation in that work of his is going to be like that.
Yeah.
Because he has made up his mind that I am here to break stones or lay bricks. That's how it is.
Yeah.
What do you think his future is going to be? That's how. No future.
The second person.
The second person is, you call that, you see, watching his clock. I mean, he's keeping time. So when it is going to be 5 o'clock, I'm going to leave. The 9 to 5 kind of guy. So
I bet a lot of the employees are like
yeah. So for their interest is, okay, I'm doing my job. 9 to 5.
Right.
So once the time is up, and he goes. So over a period of time, he will get promotions because he's in the system.
Yeah.
He will be productive
to somewhat extent.
To some extent.
Right.
He's not going to be there for long, and he's going to really not contribute much. He's going to be doing that 30 or 40%.
Right.
You have to keep on pushing him, pulling him, and he will keep on.
Right.
So his participation is going to be like that. His engagement in the organization, because he thinks of himself in that organization that I have come here to do something and go back.
Right.
So there is not much engagement.
Right. And the third person.
Third person. Now, if you look at any laborer, they have no idea what's happening.
Right.
I don't think even this person knew. But he made up his mind.
Right.
That I am going to build a place of worship here.
Right. Yeah, see, yeah, definitely the engagement and the...
Which means he is going to participate in that work, not as a work. It's his mission.
Yeah, makes sense.
You see, the same work,
right.
How 3 different people look at that work differently.
Right. So part of the storytelling is like we trying to understand the different mindsets that people have when they come to work, but also how we can motivate them to be in one of these mindsets. It's all about us setting the environment for them to find it easy to fall into one of these 3 characters, so to speak.
Absolutely, and this is where this Psychd works.
Yeah, so I mean, pinpointing the problem is, the first thing we identify towards, knowing what your employees, giving each and every employee a personalized understanding, so that the employer has a better understanding of what is the DNA of this person, of this employee, definitely would support that.
So only organizations that truly engage and inspire their employees produce world-class levels of innovation, productivity, and performance. Engaged employees have a sense of personal attachment to their work and organization. They are motivated and able to give of their best to help it succeed. An engaged employee is aware of the business context and works with colleagues to improve performance within the job for the benefit of the organization. Now, everybody knows this. Most of you are watching or in Hindi here, you already know. Your employees need more than a paycheck. They need a psychological paycheck.
What do you mean by that?
First of all, as we have been seeing, that third category of people,
right,
who don't work or don't take their job as work,
right,
it's their mission.
Yeah.
They have taken upon themselves. Now, as I said, that most people know about it. But the question is, do you have a dedicated agenda along with a team and structure with definite parameters for their life?
Interesting.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So most organizations won't have.
Yeah. So the motivation is obviously it's psychological in nature, but for that to happen, you need to set your employees a dedicated agenda. You need to share with them the mission you're on, the thing you're trying to build, how you're going to impact the world.
Because you see the poor morale, how much it's costing a company. Just think for a while and consider the following. How much does the hiring and training cost when you have to replace only one employee?
Right.
How much do the hours of lost productivity cost because your staff has low energy? How much is the cost of a lost customer because an employee had a negative attitude on the phone? Now, these things can only be measured through the psychometric tests.
Yeah, a lot of these things can, if it's inbuilt to your system, it gives you a better much image without bias, without a human judgment error that sort of helps you take, which is the key critical decision that you need to make the system work better, so that employees feel all this. They feel that they feel that they have energy, and they feel the environment is right, and they can be productive. And it costs a lot. It really costs a lot to not invest into the system, in the sense that not invest in understanding your own employees.
Yeah. How much money you're losing because of lack of employee cooperation and team spirit. These are the things that most people are, especially the HR, they dabble with. One of the ways to find out engagement and motivation and leadership is to look up situational leadership matrix to understand why I said it's a leadership issue. So those in the HR, they would know what it's one of the best leadership programs, which
situational leadership. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, there are many others, but I don't want to go into this because it's a huge topic. It's a huge topic. But as I said, the motivation part that this particular program does very well. So please keep posting your queries. Now I jump into how part. Like, you have so many things you know already. Now, why do you want them to engage and motivate? Because
I want productivity at the end of the day. I want them.
Well, I mean, aren't they supposed to do their job as agreed upon? And if they are not doing, then it's your job to make sure they do it. It's very simple.
Right.
Then why people are not? So there's a mismatch. And why they aren't already engaged and motivated? The answer you have given is your part of the story. Yeah, not necessarily their views.
Yeah.
In many organizations, the HR goes about trying to find out things from their perspective.
Right, and that is why we have when we were developing Psychd and we were doing our pilot programs, we realized we need to have an inbuilt 360 tool wherein the people can give real feedback and give in their opinions about how they feel about their leadership. And it's such a simple thing, but most of the companies don't use simple tools like these.
It's simple, isn't it? See, they are not engaged and motivated because this is their part of the story. Ask them, listen to them, talk to them.
Right.
It's very simple. They will give you the clue. As they say, success leaves clues behind. One who recognizes them gets it. Similarly, employees who are not engaged or motivated leave clues every day. And smart manager finds them and resolves them.
A smart manager would find the clues and resolve them. Very interesting, right?
And one of the ways is that this, through different questionnaires and through, informally, people can talk about. So whether you are a supervisor or manager, solving employee moral problem is up to you. Now, when employees gripe, complain, and gossip about conditions at work, it's up to you to, what do you do?
Well, we do try to, we maybe have a board meeting about it.
Well, I said, create a positive atmosphere and a cooperative spirit.
Right.
When they are depressed and lethargic, it's up to you to
motivate them, to give them the extra push to
energize them.
Yeah.
No matter what tough employee moral problems crop up. What is your answer?
You back them up. You
You have to be ready to fix them.
Right.
If you don't,
the company's gonna lose. It's cost you money.
It costs your company
bang
money.
right
Very
on
simple.
that, because at the end of the day, the employee is not going to perform, and your business is going to suffer.
So creating an employee motivation program is essential to building employee moral and decreasing employee turnover.
So one thing that I'm coming to realize is your employees' problems are more or less like your problems. If you don't see your employees' problems, their moral dilemmas, or their personal life issues as something that is your own issue, it's costing you money, because at the end of the day, that employee is not performing and it's costing your company money.
Absolutely. So when it comes to employee moral, doing nothing is very expensive. And the question is, how does one engage and motivate employees? And it comes again and again, because people know they have the answers. But to entice them with a sweeter carrot dangling in front, or threaten them with a sharper stick. Command and control. So if you perform this task, you will get that much extra compensation. So that's why here I would like to mention that a lot of HR people spend a lot of time on the last days, February, March.
Yeah,
What is that time?
That's true.
The time of appraisal.
Right.
So
I think that mindset that, so what Mr. Ajay is saying, that is the wrong way of going about it. Most of people, that's like, it comes as a no-brainer to them. If you want people to perform, you give them a reward and tell them that this is, you perform, I'll give you this. Or some people threaten. So some people might go like, if you don't perform, I'm gonna fire you, or I'm gonna demote you, or I'm gonna.
Yeah, so the whole question of motivating and engaging, it starts after the appraisal. So the HR people has to actually start opposite direction now. That's what I say. Or give the carrot first and support them to get the job done.
Right. I mean,
see, that's how in my short span of a few months, when I left my corporate and started my work, I followed this principle.
And how's your experience been?
People would come anytime, odd hours, I call them, they would come over.
Really?
I had worked 3 months without pay, and they worked. No one asking whether we're going to payment or not.
I've seen this work in quite a few companies. I don't know why the rest of us are just waiting.
Well, because people are scared.
People are scared. You're right about that.
And because everyone is thinking, who knows? And with the, I think the latest figure, it says an employee that would stay in an organization is 1.5 years to 2 maximum. So when given that kind of a short span, it's difficult. So
right.
But then in the long run, if you look at, your people expect a salary for work they do, but they need more than money to remain loyal, enthusiastic, passionate, proud, and happy workers.
Right. Very true. Very true.
And the challenge is, which are the best suited for a particular company? What works for company Y may not work for company Z, and vice versa.
Right. That's very true. So when we were doing research on creating tests for companies, a lot of time this would happen that what works in company A wouldn't work in company B. So little, we sort of allowed the system to sort of take the decision on its own and see what works in a particular environment.
See, they need something intrinsic,
right?
Not mere cash benefits. Even this also a lot of HR people know, because with the YouTube and Google, if you, as I said, if you search, you will find. But then why the social interaction with their co-workers? What do you need to alter? Because in most cases, you have the same old snacks, tea party, and birthday celebration and all that. They don't work now. Respect and appreciation from their managers and peers, often undermined or done very little.
Right.
Opportunities to learn and become more valuable employees, rarely practiced. Challenges and meaningful projects, according to their own aspiration that is aligned with the organization vision.
So they create challenging and meaningful projects, but they would create it in a way that, it's just
more for organization centric.
Right. It's just maybe a rehash of the old.
So there is no whiffim,
right.
whiffim, like, what's in it for me? There is no whiffim.
Right. So they're trying these things, but they're not doing it right.
It doesn't work.
That's why Mr. Ajay is here to help us.
Yes, that's as I said, it's internal. Some of the employee moral problems here I talk about. See, a major change in the company structure. It's a modern day phenomenon. A negative attitude practiced so often with precision. Co-workers don't get along. Not much attention is paid. employees being laid off, joylessness, a gloomy atmosphere, lack of communication, low energy, stress, always looking for greener pastures, easy way out, likes to be in C-zone. What is C-zone?
I'm not aware.
It's called the comfort zone. That's why the last three are why they are in a different color is because that is centric.
Right.
And that is where most HR people or the supervisor managers look.
Right. I mean, that is something that you note about any badly run organization. You walk in there and you feel that, people don't want to get out of their comfort zones. Like
that is where the focus, because they think that people, that's called the X and Y theory.
Right.
Now there's a Z theory also. Key reasons why employees feel demotivated. No recognition or feeling of value. Unrealistic demands of workload. Micromanagement. Job insecurity. No progress. Conflicting or otherwise unpleasant co-workers. Boredom. People know all these things.
Yeah, pretty much.
And still,
I bet all our audience does.
Yeah. Now, you see this company, Google, Facebook, Twitter, Apple, Microsoft, IBM, Oracle, Amazon, Tesla. What is common about this company?
Well, they're big and awesome companies. I mean, I would love to work for any.
Everybody loves to work, right? Now, my question is, and these companies do everything.
Right.
I just read that Facebook is now building apartments for organizations, I mean, their employees, where you have everything at the press of a button.
Wow, okay.
You get everything. I mean,
talk about employee benefits.
Benefits, like from morning, whatever you require, it will be automatically filled up. The fridge will be filled up, everything will be set. My question is, why do then people leave these organizations?
Interesting. So even after Facebook is probably giving its employees like a fully furnished apartments with like
they get movie tickets and vouchers for shopping and everything.
People still leave Facebook and they quit their jobs. That is a real problem.
One of the major problems I have with because I also train college students.
Right.
The program is called Campus to Corporate. And many students come to me, they said, I want to go this company, Google or Facebook or Infosys or all these big companies, Convergys and all that,
right.
Accenture. Doing the Psychd test.
Right.
I tell them, this company is good for you, which is not very big. And they come up saying like, what are you saying? No.
Right.
And within 3 months, I get a call, sir, you are right.
So it's like in our motto, know thyself. You have to understand yourself.
Yeah, because the advertisements that these companies do and the general kind of people have thought about these big companies with all these perks, individuals, they forget.
No.
There is something missing. There's something missing. 7 key areas that needs to be examined when you talk about employee engagement, motivation.
Yeah, so listen up.
Yes, employee relationships. Great people to work with and being part of a team. Also work-life balance.
Okay.
Now, this itself will take one full day.
Yeah, if we really talk about it, we can,
Company communication. A lot of companies, they say we have open door policy.
Yeah.
I talk to the managers, they say my door is always open. But how many people really walk in?
Very few.
Because the communication system may be in place, but it is not being used.
Yeah.
Why? Appreciation and recognition. People are appreciated. People get their tickets, movie tickets, Big Bazaar or Amazon tickets, Walmart tickets. Employee input. They have a box where people put in their suggestions. Personal and professional growth. People are getting promoted. They are sent abroad. They get this trip and that trip. fair pay and benefits, all those big companies they have, and yet the complaint remains.
Yeah.
The last one,
Employee spirit.
employee spirit.
That is something that is very hard to examine.
Very hard to examine. I give you some tips on this, how to employ spirit.
Oh, okay.
Exciting work and challenges. So here I am to tell you a small story again.
Sure.
This is called the Japanese fish eating habit.
Right.
You see, Japanese people love fish. And what kind of fish? They love fresh fish.
Right.
Now, the fish market, they can provide only certain amount of fresh fish.
Yeah.
But the Japanese people love fish fresh. So what do the fishermen do? They go to the sea and get big tankers.
Yeah. So they
Put
can get
eyes
more
and
fresh fish.
freeze them and bring them
The
to
table
kid. But then frozen fish
is not fresh.
They don't have that taste. So what do the fishermen do? They go further because the demand is there more and more. What they do, they get these huge tanks filled with water and put the fish in them and bring them out.
Yeah.
But then the fish in that tank gets lethargy. They have nothing to do.
And sitting there in the tank,
They're in that
waiting
tank.
one day.
But then they're fresh when they come there. They're live.
They're alive.
But people who eat fish every day, they know.
Really?
So you should ask the people. They can immediately look at a fish and they'll say how fresh it is. Now the dilemma with the fishermen, what they'll do now?
Yeah. How, like, I'm already bringing them live. Like, what more do you want me to do?
So there's one old fisherman who thinks up a nice way. So what does this fisherman do? What? They tell the fishermen in the sea, the big boat, they go far away, they catch a lot of fish, and along with the fish in that tank with water, they put in some small sharks.
Not sure what that will do.
What happens the moment the shark comes in, all the fish start running for their lives.
Ah, okay.
So in that process, when the trolley or that tanker comes to the shore,
Right.
well, few fish got eaten by the shark.
Right.
We call the collateral damage. For any good thing, some
Right.
damage is
But
always done.
that sort of justifies.
So what happens? So the fish have a challenge to stay alive.
Yeah.
So that is what I'm talking about. Like in an organization, continually, you've got to give people challenge. Not what you think,
Yeah.
what they think.
Sure. Having an engaging environment definitely ups the spirit of the employee.
Challenging. Challenge is like what they want challenge, not what you think. So somebody is struggling with some work, you give more work. No.
You give them challenging and interesting work.
Ask them.
Right.
Employee spirit, having a good boss. Now why is in red?
Maybe you like red.
Because I remember people leave boss, a bad boss.
Okay.
So a good boss is always good for the organization.
Yeah.
The third thing, autonomy and control over one's work. Urge direct their own lives. There's an urge to direct their own lives. So in organization, people, if they have autonomy, if they can do the way they like. In Australia, there's a company which called a FedEx Day, which means FedEx, deliver the next day. So that one day, people are given full freedom not to come to the office, to do anything they like. And it has been shown that they come up with wonderful ideas.
Yeah. I mean, the Google 20% time that they give to their employees, kind of the same thing. It's you gotta give your employees some time to sort of work on their own and have some autonomous control on their lives.
Yeah, so that one particular day has, again, that 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
The ideas and things that they come up with.
Right.
Fourth thing is mastery. Desire to get better and better with something that matters. So people wants to learn.
So this, I think, all of us must have seen it. You take a person, an employee, and he's really good at something, and he's doing fine. But we as managers, we like to switch people around, and we put him in another department, and he stops performing altogether.
Yeah.
That's because he doesn't get that feeling where he's able to master a particular domain or knowledge.
Absolutely.
Right. So you gotta let employees have purpose and mastery in their.
Then you have the purpose, meaningful work and making difference and contribution. Most people don't even know what it is.
Right.
I have talked to many managers and supervisors. They say that I have so many things to do. Who the hell has time to go and find out what purpose? Flexible work hours and dress code.
Yeah, I mean, that works. It's sure.
Accomplishment and fulfillment. So these are things that an employee, if you work in these areas.
I bet most of them don't even know like what is accomplishment. And I would like you to talk for maybe like 30 seconds or a minute, like very.
I'll come to that. Why? There's the genie I'm going to release. Because there's this few things that you can, if you are online, you can do this small exercise.
Right now.
This is an international survey done on employee engagement and motivation.
So ask these questions from yourself about your organization. Like when you manage people, do you, has someone come up to you and talk about their process? Has someone encouraged, have you encouraged somebody's development? Do they feel that they have been praised recently? Do any of your employees have a best friend at work? How many of your employees have best friends at work? How many of them feel that their managers care about them? Or they view their work as important to the company? Or they view that their opinions count at work? And they feel that their colleagues are committed to work quality? And that they're able to do their best every day? And that they have the equipment required to do their job well enough? And that they know clearly like what is expected of them, and they feel satisfying being listened to. I mean, this is a very standard questions that you need to ask yourself, and you already know the answer to this probably, and we're gonna share some.
Yeah, this is because not just knowing, you need to have the statistics.
Yeah, so please.
This is a survey done. On your left-hand side, you have the highly engaged organization. On your right, you have the low or no engagement.
Right. So the survey shows some data of like companies that have high employee engagement and versus companies that have low employee engagement. And this is what it boils down to. You can clearly see, like, has somebody talked to you about your progress? If you go to an employee, 13% of the employees saying that, okay, we are the only ones that have been talked to about our progress. Definitely no employee engagement. Or if their development is encouraged, So you can see the numbers on the right, very high. Numbers on the left, very high. Number on the right, very low. So
it's very simple. See, these are not very complicated things.
No, if you can
someone walks up and just talks.
If you can get most of your numbers to be like the ones on the blue, you have good employee motivation and engagement right there. It's very simple things like I was talking to you about. Do they feel that they have talked about their process? Do they feel that you talk to them about their development, and so on?
Now, these are some of the things that there are a lot of as I talked about. You can you have.
We can share the list of these things that
later on we'll share. So one of the things that Abraham Maslow's needs theory, Herzberg's theory, which is hygiene and motivation theory. Now, any HR person would know all these things.
Right. And one thing that Psychd can help you do is like measure, these things like where does your company stand against your industry in a specific, let's say, the cognitive needs of your employees. So what we do is we measure the cognitive satisfaction of your employees versus to that of the industry, and you can see if your employees are being challenged enough to work on those. There's tons of things that we can do to measure these. And
yeah, there are different models. There are different
Right.
kind of models that organization they use, and you can take. However, I have something different. Models may work for big companies with big pocket, but for medium-sized and small companies, they don't work so much.
Right.
Even big companies also, they are trying out for last 10 years. I have known many companies where
typically like models are modeled after big companies, so that
Yeah.
is why they work there.
so all these different models, they are good. Like
Right.
each one of these points, if you take them alone. So
Right.
what's
So
new?
that is just like Ajay, he ran through it very quickly just to like give you the pointers that these are the things that you can do, and you can find it on Google, right?
Yeah.
So what's new in that? Tell us.
So what's new is you need a new paradigm, a new approach, a new language, to do things, a new operating system. If you work on the keyboard, nothing is going to happen. A computer works on the OS.
Right.
So if you want to really revamp, you really want to do something
You
different,
gotta change the software.
very
of the
simple.
company.
So you don't build a business, you build people, and then you build business. That's what. So it's instill that one extra degree.
What is that?
So what is that one extra degree? Is that water till 90 centigrade is warm. At 100, it is boiling.
Yeah.
It's that 1 degree.
The tipping point.
The tipping point.
Right.
Humanize your workplace.
So what you're saying is like that humanizing force in your workforce could be the tipping point for your productivity.
Yeah.
Right.
What it is that employees say that what I am doing is really meaningful, and I am learning and contributing. I am making a difference. The third bricklayer.
Right.
Remember?
Yeah.
Because it is important and it matters greatly. Because I like it. It's interesting to me. For the organization, for my family, and for myself.
Yeah. Makes
Ultimately
sense.
to the whole humanity. And the leader helps to align all of it.
A good leader.
A good leader.
Right.
Remember, I told you it's a leadership issue. Motivating and engaging people, it's a leadership issue.
Right. Very true.
Which means you have to have a different approach, a new language you have to now invent.
Right.
Where this is the crux.
So if your workforce is not motivated, it's not the employees, it's the manager or the team leader's problem.
So I know it might look, sound, too utopian kind of thing, but
when you got into the whole humanity thing, well, maybe.
Yeah, but that's what I said. It requires a new mindset.
Right.
So far, it's all been a command and control kind of a thing. My way or the highway.
Yeah. Typically, it is like that.
And a lot of people will say, listen, people don't understand. Or I, as a manager, I have this problem and that problem. I have already given the answer. Do a check. Now you can employ a Psychd for that to find out that category of 3%, 7%, and 20%, and 30%, and 40%. That 30% you have been spending so much time, you've got to give that up.
Yeah.
Alter. Focus on those 3% and 7% and 30%. But
Makes
first,
sense.
alter your own language. Are you motivated or engaged in your organization?
Right. Are you willing to drive the engagement in your company?
Yeah. So once you do that, and
Yeah, there's a small video we would like you to watch after this video probably, and we'll share the link in the description for this.
It's been there for ages, but it's just to give you that 1 degree of how it's different. So
Sure.
this is where that how you implement that 1 degree is to correlate. To remain loyal to the company and the brand, the basic requirement of a customer.
Makes sense.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And for that, because you want innovation, and as management guru Peter Drucker, he says, along with innovation and marketing. Since marketing is a different ball game altogether, and but innovation can be done because marketing comes later. First come innovation. So as managers, you've got to create that synergy, that environment, and that will come from your customers. You know, when a customer is delighted, not just satisfied. When someone decides to cross the line of duty, when someone travels that extra mile to surpass her or his much higher satisfaction threshold, when someone cares enough for her, for him, I mean the customer, when someone relents to her or his whims, customers are, you know, sometimes they are nuts.
Yeah.
But they're also gods. Gods sometimes are, you know, they're very whimsical. When someone simply makes her or him feel most important customer for his company, she or he feels delighted. So that someone is able to extend beyond usual only because he or she feels empowered to do so.
So that person is able to do all this, like care for the customer to such a level because he is allowed to be empowered by the company to do so.
So what needs to be done as a manager or supervisor, if you are watching, you've got to empower people.
Right.
So learn all about empowerment. Motivation, they will be motivated. People will be engaged.
Yeah,
When you
it's
empower
just
people.
about putting a little more trust into your employees. That's
So see, the customer satisfaction and customer happiness, that's part of an SOP. Most organizations have.
Right.
You know, whereas striving for customer delight is ingrained in the value system and DNA of each empowered employee of the organization. So if your people are not empowered, if it is not in their DNA,
right.
the customer delight will not come.
Yeah.
Empowered employees bring more business. They are more likely to retain the customers longer against all odds because business comes from customers. And how will your customers be delighted? When you have an empowered employee.
Yeah.
I'll give you another clue. I'll give you another clue how to create empowered employees. You, if you're listening here as a manager or a supervisor, you've got to make your employees your fan.
Really? Yeah, makes sense, but it's hard.
It's not very hard. It's difficult. I'll share it if you have time later how I became a kind of a hero or for my people. Like when I go back to those places, of course, it's been 15 years I've left. They still talk about good old days.
Yeah.
And give an example here. If you see the 3 pictures, the FedEx thing. Anybody remembers this?
Yeah, the movie, right? The
Castaway. Tom Hanks,
yes.
you know, the FedEx. Because FedEx is one of the organizations which is highly, they have engaged employees, and they have, I think, last 10 years or 15 years, they have been on the top in terms of
Logistics.
Not logistics, in terms of engaging and motivating. Actually, initially, I had worked for this company for a few months back in '85.
Okay.
That Blue Dart courier company, if you know, was part of this, and also currently my wife now works in an organization called TNT Courier, which has been taken over by FedEx.
Right.
In a couple of weeks, FedEx is going to be part of that company. So my wife is also working in the FedEx company.
Right.
Because why again? FedEx is, as I said, is one of the companies where it's a benchmark for employee motivation and engagement. What happened back in I think in the '70s, when FedEx was going through a very bad phase. In fact, the FedEx guy had to go and gamble with his $5,000 left, and he won and then got some money back. those days, what happened once, a lady from East Coast wanted her wedding dress from the West Coast to be delivered next day.
Yeah.
She tried the whole day. Most of the organization could not do that.
Okay.
Finally, when she called up FedEx, even if FedEx, many people, the supervisors could not get that work done. One young girl, executive, she took upon herself to do something extraordinary. And those days, because of competition so high and not the companies didn't have so many airplanes, she took a charter plane and got that dress, wedding dress of that lady,
Right.
and delivered to her.
Hmm.
And who that lady was? She was the daughter of Kodak
Okay.
company owner.
Hmm.
And in that wedding, what was the talk of the topic?
Well, the delivery, of course.
FedEx.
Right.
Everyone talked about FedEx, and the FedEx got free publicity.
Right.
And out of 205 Fortune 500 companies, many companies signed up there and then FedEx. And as they say, the rest is history.
Right. And all of that because the FedEx trusted its employees to make that
Because they
critical
have
decision.
this in their DNA,
Right.
empowered. People can go beyond the call of duty. They have, and they are backed up by their manager and supervisors.
Right.
So if you really want to get your people engaged, it's no rocket science, as I said. It's very simple. First, they start with something that is very physical. I know it has been scientifically proven. Employees with good health improves performance and loyalty is high, rendering retention very low.
Right.
So I guess you do some kind of...
We do it more, yeah. With Psychd, we do it more of a mental motivation and health thing. If your employees are feeling burnt out, or if they're feeling body image conscious too much, those sort of things, yes.
Yeah, so I have this very simple formula for people you really want, you don't need anything extra, money or something. Start with your head. Think and speak. Speak words of empowerment, empowers them. Show care that cares. Encourages, appreciates, acknowledges, understands, uplifts. You don't need anything, just mere words, You start, so start with your head. If you don't have anything to do, heart, feelings. People are driven by emotions.
Right.
Hand, clap. So if someone does something, clap. Let everybody clap. Everybody can see that. There is synergy in it. Exercise. Use simple exercises. It helps to spirit up.
Right.
Because they say the body movements. If somebody a little hunch, straighten him up.
Body language.
I have seen many call centers. In one place I saw there are about 100 of them, and the way the chairs, I looked at them, that they were so comfortable chairs that people are reclining like this, almost sleeping. Now, when you have that kind of body posture,
not much work is going to
get done. So the physical part of it, how you sit the chair, it makes a hell of a difference.
Okay.
So as I said, so with the hand you can do a lot of things. Leg, dance, walk, jog. These are all physical activities you can introduce in your organization, which will have a huge impact.
Yeah.
Because in my, you see, I do a lot of brain research. And these are things that I have people started using, and they are having extraordinary results. Because the brain, brain functions, there are a lot of things. So there's a program, I do a 3-day program on brain science, how to use your brain. We don't need anything else. Like they said, we don't use our brain. But how to do that? This is one of the things, very simple. There's a process of doing that. Mental and psychological, spiritual things, personal, family, social, aspirational, command and control, my way or highway. There needs to go away. How you do that? Test it out. So we have psychometric tests, a different test. Do the test, measure. Because when you do not measure something, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
The more you start measuring, Like, the one of the countries that everybody knows about, Bhutan, their metric is happiness metrics.
They came out to be pretty high on the.
Yeah, and it's been on top of the whole world. So they are working more on metrics of happiness.
Right, even
yeah,
international organizations now push for measuring the happiness index for every country.
So do they feel or know you have their best interest in your mind, or you manipulate? So test it out. How much do you know them? Each one is different with different template. More you know, more you will learn about them, and it will be so easy. Maybe 1 minute over a cup of coffee at a very critical time. Turn him or turn her around into a superhero.
Yeah.
He becomes your best go-to-man person.
I've seen that happen.
So that's how, like, in a nutshell, if you really want to kind of make your people give their very best, alter the language.
Yeah.
Have customers delighted, have your employees delighted, bring in innovation, how to marry them both.
Sure.
Not only the profit for the organization, but also profit for your people.
Definitely.
Like many companies say, our people is our asset, but it doesn't. So that's how, I guess it's.
Yeah, that's a very brief presentation for it's at the end of the day, it's not really rocket science. It's that you need to understand a few key things, and you need to engage your employees with the same. I'll just go back to the video.
Yeah, so if anyone has any question or any queries, any suggestions,
sure, do message us, and we can comment back onto the chat. Okay. So, like we were saying, it's not really complicated. It's definitely simple. Companies are losing a lot of money because they feel their workforce is not engaged, and they feel like they're. It's not they feel, it's real, right? It's it's the 30% performing the most work, but yeah. So I guess the first step is to measure it, and then to track it, like
absolutely,
to improve it. And simple things that can help it, right?
You can start off with that simple exercise, those 10 things, and
right.
You just have to start talking them.
Sure. So yeah, we do have whenever, if you have any questions, you can let us know in comments. We can do a special session for you as well in your company. If you would like to have one with your team members doing exercises like he's saying, this could typically be done in a few days as well. And
they are awesome. They have huge impact.
Sure. So I think that's it for today. And
right. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you for bearing with us, and we'll have more sessions coming up like this, maybe next week and so on. And keep tuned. Thank you for watching. Let us know what you think. Take care. Bye-bye.